Alright, hey guys, and welcome back to another video, and in today's video we are going to be going over the best map for each of the brand new reinforcements. With the Rise of Skywalker update releasing a little while ago, I've now had enough time to practice with all of the classes, including the Ovissian Gunner, the Sith Trooper, the First Order Jet Trooper, and the Caphex Spy, and I think I've figured out which map is best to use each reinforcement on. Now before I do jump into the video today, I am giving away a digital code of the Celebration Edition of Battlefront 2, so if you want the chance to win that on the platform of your choosing, let me know down in the comments which new reinforcement is your favorite and why, and also whether you'd like to win the code on PC, PS4 or Xbox One. So with that said, be sure to subscribe with all notifications on because I will be announcing the winner in a future video. Now that that is all out of the way though, let's jump right into today's video. The first reinforcement I'm going to be talking about is my favorite, and it is the Sith Trooper. The Sith Trooper I think is absolutely dominant on CRAIT. The tunnels in the first phase is like a playground for the Sith Trooper. The grenade is great for taking out multiple enemies in the corridors. Seeker Tactics does not have a distance limit, so you can always see where your enemies are as long as it's active, and I find this really helpful in that first phase. When activating Seeker Tactics, I pretty much just look around for the icons of any enemy and I push them right away. Once I start to get close to the enemy, I can throw a grenade around a corner if I know they're roughly there, and the grenade will then give an outline of where the enemy is if it hits them and does not kill them. So once they've been hit with that grenade, it's really easy just to push out into the corridor that they're in and take them out. You'll be watching some gameplay in the background, and I've found the Sith Trooper is super effective during this phase, and even on the top of the map when you're not down in the tunnels, the secondary fire works really well at range. It does take a little bit of getting used to with the lock-on because it doesn't lock on quite as hard as Leia's secondary fire, but I have found if you hold the secondary fire and then hold the primary fire right after it shoots off, you can wipe out an enemy extremely quickly. The secondary fire for the Sith Trooper does 140 damage to infantry, so all you need to do is hit one little shot with the primary fire following that, cause 10 damage, and you've wiped out any class except for the heavy or a buffed officer. So I think it's really helpful on that first phase as well, and then when you get inside you can really take advantage of using the Seeker Tactics again to know where all the enemies are coming from. Not only this, but the close quarters in the first phase does really give you an advantage with the default blaster. The Sith Trooper's default blaster has a really fast fire rate which just absolutely melts in close quarters, and when you know where your enemy is coming from, you can almost pre-fire around corners so that you get the first shot in, and it gives you a massive advantage. So I definitely suggest using the Sith Trooper on CRAIT. I've had my biggest kill streaks on there with him, the highest one so far being 38, and the update and the new reinforcements have only been out for just over a week. So I'm really practicing with the Sith Trooper, trying to get a higher kill streak, but currently I'm sitting at 38 and I think that's pretty good. So if you haven't tried him out on CRAIT, definitely give it a go. Continuing with the First Order, we are going to talk now about the new Jet Trooper. I think the new First Order Jet Trooper is amazing and it's a lot of fun to play once you get used to it. The best map I have found for him is actually TAKODANA. Now you might think this is a bit strange because it's not super open where you can use the jetpack, but that's exactly why it is the best map for this reinforcement. There is a lot of cover from the trees when you're up in the air. I've found when you're out in the open, enemies tend to target you and they can always see where you're coming from. One tip I want to give you guys is when you're trying to push the hill in the first phase, fly up into the air above the open area that you're trying to take as a team, and you can pick off multiple enemies during this time. The jetpack does last a long time up in the air, and the splash damage of the primary fire of the Jet Trooper can really take out enemies quickly. You can get 2 to 3 kills each time you're up in the air, drop back down and let it recharge before jumping back up there and taking them out again. A lot of the time when you're shooting from high enough above, the enemy team does not know where you are. So the splash damage on the primary fire, which can hit multiple enemies at once, makes it really easy to get kills in the first phase. Again, I've had a 28 kill streak with the First Order Jet Trooper on TAKODANA, and it's definitely my favorite one to use out of the two on that map. On top of having plenty of cover, you can use the shoulder charge when you're getting pushed. It's really effective. It does again take a little bit of getting used to, like each of the reinforcements do, but if you are being pushed by an enemy and you're kind of retreating because you've taken a little bit of damage already, I love to get in behind a rock, wait and use the third person view to see where the enemy is coming from, and then as I see them turn the corner or get close, I use the shoulder charge ability or the jet tackle or whatever the middle ability is called, the one that's extremely fun to use, and just full send descend on the enemy, taking them out most of the time when I can hit them, and if I can't hit them, I just fly straight past them and down onto the other side of the map because it does carry you a long way away. This ability is so quick it's going to get you out of trouble a lot of the time, so make sure to utilize cover when using the shoulder charge, or preparing to use it anyway. The other thing is you can push in and out of objectives really easily for kills, and like I said, I keep referencing the first phase because this is where I got a lot of the kills in my kill streaks. You can pretty much just get in there with the jetpack, fly up in the air, pick off a few enemies and get back out quickly. If you do start to take damage while you're doing this, again, you can easily get out with either the jetpack or you can use the jet tackle ability to escape. Most people think it's just an offensive ability, but if you need to get out of trouble, there is absolutely no reason why you shouldn't be using this ability to escape from enemies as well. So that's why I think TAKODANA is definitely the best for the First Order Jet Trooper. Sticking with TAKODANA though, I think the Spy is actually best suited for this map as well. The uneven surfaces that are on this map help you to avoid being pushed suddenly, which counters the slow fire rate of the Spy's default blaster. I have found that the Spy's default blaster takes a little bit of getting used to, and in my opinion, I honestly think it needs to have a little bit faster fire rate, but it does do a lot of damage at the same time. So maybe that could be an option that they could look into, but it definitely can be effective when used right. The only problem is if you get pushed on really aggressively or really suddenly, this can leave you out in the open, and if you don't have your middle ability ready to use, it's going to end up in you dying. So the uneven surfaces kind of helps you to avoid being pushed suddenly. You can use the rocks for cover, you can duck up and down, and I think it just keeps you alive for that much longer with that slow fire rate, and it just gives you a bit more survivability. The fact that this map is also mostly outdoors gives you a huge advantage because your scan beacon can then turn into a mortar strike, which is extremely effective. I've found in the first and second phase when defending objectives, if you know the enemy team is in and around the objective, you can throw out that scan beacon and know where your enemies are, and on top of that, when you know a few of them are in the range of this ability, you can actually activate that mortar strike on the area, and it does a decent amount of damage. It's actually a really satisfying ability to get kills with, and I really like using it, and TAKODANA is just the best map to use it on. On top of this, even though you're out in the open for most of the time, you don't necessarily need to use the mortar strike at all times. Sometimes it is just helpful knowing where they are, so the scan beacon does come in handy on top of that. The truncheon ability is probably my least favorite of the three. It can be quite difficult to use sometimes, but I've found the best way to use it is when darting out from behind cover as an enemy gets close to you. So if you're behind a rock or behind some cover and you can see an enemy pushing in your direction, or if you can even get up behind an enemy, this is when the truncheon ability works the best. I try to minimize the amount of times I actually use this ability, and I think it just gets me caught out more often than not. I think just using the blaster and the mortar strike are probably the best way to go, but they're definitely really suited to TAKODANA's playstyle. On top of this, the rapid fire destroys absolutely everyone, even enemy heroes. I can't even count the amount of times I've melted like a Palpatine or a Bosk or someone like that just thinks they're in cover or they don't see me and I can get up behind them. Activate the rapid fire and you can almost drain their health instantly with one use of this ability if you land all your shots. It's extremely powerful and probably makes up for the lack of fire rate with the default blaster when it's not active, but I still think it needs a little bit of a buff for the default blaster. The rapid fire on the other hand is absolutely amazing and it can do tons and tons of damage. However, it does not last very long, so you need to make sure you hit your shots. So those are the reasons why I think the Spy is best on TAKODANA. Let's talk a little bit about the Ovissian gunner. The gunner I think is best suited on JAKKU. It is a defensive map and the team has to push you, so then you can melt them with the cannon. The best parts of this map is the first phase and also I believe the third phase, because you're on top of a hill and the enemy team has to push up to you. So when they're pushing up to you, you can rain fire down on them and just absolutely melt anyone that comes near, and it gives you a better angle for headshots as well. It makes it that much more difficult for a team to take an objective when you have gunners present in your objective point, so I think this is very well suited to the playstyle and what you need to do as a team on JAKKU. On top of this, the anti-armor mode is probably my favorite thing about the gunner. This thing slaughters ATSTs, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is the left ability for the gunner and it turns it into an anti-armor launcher, and I think it takes it out in in like 2 to 3 shots for an ATST. It's super satisfying. I've found activating the left ability with the middle ability at the same time is just absolute chaos for the enemy ATSTs. They could have 2 of them on the battlefront and I can still take both of them out with one use of this middle ability combined with the anti-armor mode. So it's one of the most satisfying things to do because of the amount of times I've died to people spamming ATSTs, so it's great to get some revenge on them finally. On top of this, the range on the cannon is really decent, making it really hard for enemies to push you. You can pretty much just ping it off and the overheat time takes a little while, so while you're firing, an enemy is going to find it very hard to push your team or even your objective point. The other ability for the gunner is the shoulder charge, which works pretty much like Han Solo's shoulder charge, and this again is one of those ones that works better from behind cover, or if you see an enemy and they don't see you, the shoulder charge can then become very effective. I've found good use of it against heroes as well. There are times where I've been caught out where a hero will push up on me and then all of a sudden I just out of instinct activate the shoulder charge ability because I'm used to playing Han Solo, and this just happens to put them on their butt and it gets me out of trouble a lot of the time. So the shoulder charge in combination with the gunner's cannon is a really good combination, so make sure you guys test that out, and I think it works really well on JAKKU because enemy heroes do have to be the aggressor on this map because you are defending and locking down objective points. On top of this, all of the phases are really well suited to the gunner's playstyle. Like I said earlier, looking down on the enemy team makes it easier to get kills. I would suggest in the third phase going up to your left objective from the spawn point, I can't remember exactly the name of it, but that one there where you can stand on top of the bridge and see enemies pushing up the hill, this gives you really easy kills, and as long as you don't let anyone push in behind you, the enemy team's going to find it really hard to take that objective point and you're just going to be racking up kills the whole time. So there it is guys, that is everything I wanted to talk about in this video. Now just to wrap up, the Sith Trooper I definitely think is best suited for CRAIT, the First Order Jet Trooper for TAKODANA, the Spy also on TAKODANA, and the Ovissian Gunner best suited for JAKKU. Now this is of course my opinion and what I have found most useful, however let me know down in the comments if this helped or if you have a different opinion of which map these reinforcements are best on. Again, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications and comment down below if you want to be in that giveaway, and I will be announcing that over the next couple of days. As always, thank you so much for the huge support on the channel lately. I will see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you always.
The Sith are all powerful.